lives because you do it every time. Immigrants are actually welcome, and climate change is not debated in our city or in our state. But you know what, though? We can't sit back on our laurels and be complacent. We always must be on guard, because even our progressive city can swing in a conservative direction. Fortunately, we prevented that from happening in spite of $100 million. But when people don't believe that the government will address their needs, they can and will resort to responding in ways that disproportionately hurt people, especially people who are least able to defend for themselves.
That's right.
So that's why I believe in order for Angelenos to begin to believe that we can solve our humanitarian crisis, we have to start by ending the suffering on our streets.
Yeah.
Thousands of Angelenos sleeping on our streets every night, and we know that this morning 5 of them did not wake up. It really is a horror that should shock all of us to our core. And one of the things that worries me is that it's been a lot of years now, and there's actually a whole generation that has grown up thinking that this is normal. But those of us who have a few years under our belts know that this was not always the way it was, Mark. It wasn't. But we do know that 30 years ago, we were fighting to house people in South LA when people in other parts of the city weren't even thinking about it because it didn't touch them. But now, this is an emergency that I believe requires every level of government to work together and all Angelenos to step up.
Yeah.
That whether we are housed or not, we have a responsibility to end this crisis, and every Angeleno has skin in the game. This is what we do when we face a crisis in this city. This is what happened with COVID. Businesses that were suffering stepped up anyway and helped out Angelenos. Schools fed families. The government provided resources. And when we've experienced earthquakes or civil unrest, we've all stepped up and helped others. Well, I want you to imagine for a minute LA. What do you think LA would look like if Angelenos joined together across the city to collectively solve the problem? Neighborhoods around the city will identify where housing can be built, as opposed to declaring that there will be no housing built in my neighborhood. What do you think will happen if we move this vision forward in the city? We need to purchase and convert motels, hotels, and commercial buildings into temporary housing so no Angelenos will have to resort to pitching a tent. After a short period of time, that's right, we need to see this happen. After a short period of time in these motels, we will move people into permanent housing with services that will assist individuals to eventually transition into good-paying jobs and workforce housing so that you will no longer see Angelenos live in squalor. And let me just tell you, in the short time I've been there, I didn't realize, Mike, that we have thousands of vacancies in the city.
That's right. That's
thousands of vacancies.
That's right.
There are good-paying union jobs that are actually budgeted for.
Yeah.
So when people say, what can I do to help? You tell people, come work for the city. 900 vacancies in sanitation. People wonder why their streets aren't clean. So I truly believe that we can do this. We can join together as a city and marshal all our resources and unite every level of government. That's why on my first day, I didn't go to City Hall. I went to the Emergency Operations Center and signed a declaration of emergency.
Yeah.
Because it is an emergency.
That's right.
And I want to thank Supervisor Horvath and Supervisor Mitchell for having the County Board of Supervisors do the same. And I don't know if you know, several other cities are now doing this. Long Beach did it. I'm getting calls from other states.
Yeah.
People are asking, well, what the heck did that mean? Say, we will discover it together. Sometimes we don't know, but we take steps to send a message.
That's right. That's right, trailblazer.
So several days later, I signed an executive directive to fast track building so housing can be rapidly built and less expensive. We signed this directive at the site of a location where Dora Gallo, Mark, who used to work for you, people that say yes. Ask about them. Because they are the overwhelming majority of people.
Yes.
Kenneth Mejia, where's our controller? Stand on up. Kenneth Mejia. We got to acknowledge the next generation of leaders. So we're working together because he wants to document and track and provide the tools because people need to know where their money is going. So Inside Safe has successfully addressed chronic encampments in Hollywood and Venice. When encampments are cleared because Angelenos are housed, neighbors can reclaim their streets like residents in Venice did this week. Housed and unhoused Venice residents suffered together for years, and now housed and unhoused residents are being taken care of, and people can walk the streets again and park their cars along the streets. The reclaiming of neighborhoods is something that I learned from Community Coalition years after I left the coalition. Years after I left the coalition, there were parks in South LA that communities, neighborhoods, families couldn't go in anymore because unhoused people were there, because young folks involved in drug trafficking and drug using were there. They spent months clearing out the park and not getting people arrested, not calling the police, but clearing out the park. And then the neighbors, the families came back and reclaimed those parks, and those parks now are the site of festivals and picnics and have been cleared for years. That's what we need to do. Yesterday I went to the motels and visited the people that left the tents to hear how they were doing. And we're going to stick with them. It's not a matter of sending them to a motel, leaving them there for a couple of months, and then when the rain stops, they go right back. Because we're going to stay on those streets to make sure if new people come back or they come back, that we address their needs again, because it is not about shooing people away, hiding people, or arresting people. It's about helping people. Some good news with you. Last month, President Biden announced that his administration wants to reduce homelessness by 25% in 2 years. Well, you know, I called him up and said, look, you want to reduce homelessness by 25% in 2 years? Come to LAX, spend a little time with us. You can focus on our city alone and meet your national goal. So yesterday that call was answered. President Biden sent Ambassador Susan Rice, who is the director of the Domestic Policy Council. When the president does an initiative like that, it goes to the Domestic Policy Council. And those of you, I don't know if you have seen Susan Rice in her career, but let me just tell you something. When she goes after something, it gets done. So when you see infrastructure, when you see issues that the administration takes on, big initiatives, whether it's immigration or infrastructure or climate, it's in her shop. So she was here and we spent the day with her. We started in Venice. We immediately went to Skid Row. We wanted her to understand the magnitude of the problem. And after spending the day with us, she said that LA will now be considered one of the cities that the administration will focus its efforts on. Text Janice Hahn and I and asked if we wanted to be in the first cohort of the care court. Care court's controversial. It's controversial, but give us the tools and we'll make it work. It might be a concept, but the point is, it is inhumane to allow people who are profoundly mentally ill to die on our streets. That is inhumane. All of us have seen that. People who are a danger to themselves and a danger to others. And the only thing we have right now, the only tool in the toolbox, is a 5150, which means we can keep them for 72 hours and then dump them right back on the streets. We wouldn't sit back and allow somebody to starve to death in front of us. Why would we allow somebody to suffer from an illness and leave them untreated? So while I'm excited by this, I witnessed individuals who were in crisis and needed help, and families who I know are now grief-stricken. And all of us know Patrice. And I was reading the article in the LA Times today, and I don't know if you had a chance to read that article, but you should read it, because I just think about the families who now the images will be drilled in their minds forever of watching the last few moments of their families live. And what Patrice is quoted in a paper today is saying is that she has spent so many years comforting other families, and now she's in that situation and trying to figure out exactly how to handle it. I believe that a thorough and transparent investigation must take place, and the results made public regardless of what is found, and a clear understanding that actions have consequences.